and welcome to the Dewey Decibel System, the official podcast of the Buchanan District Library in Buchanan, Michigan. I'm Meg Paulette Perez. I'm the director of the library and one of your hosts, along with library workers extraordinaire, Karen Gonzalez and Grant Wagner. Hi, Karen. Hi, Grant.
Hi.
So we are back for a special year-end episode to talk about some of the most popular library items of 2023. And joining us today is the queen bee of books, the titan of text, the sultan of the stacks, Laura Hauch. Hi, Laura.
Hello.
Okay, so before we get into everything, tell us what you do at the library and a little about yourself.
I am the collection and IT coordinator. Apparently, I'm not close enough to the mic. I do the ordering and cataloging of mostly the books, pretty much anything for the library except LOT, because that's Wendy. I collect random library statistics, like how many times books have circulated. I help set up and maintain the library's computers and anything tech-related. And I help with social media and online things. So social media posts, our apps like My Libro, and I help make Beanstack challenges. I help with the website. So I have a really fun job.
Laura does a lot of different things here, probably mostly because she's now the longest working person here. You've been here for almost 11 years now, right? Was it 10 years?
It was 11 this summer, so we're like 11 and a half now.
Yeah, so she's been here longer than anybody, which, I guess you were here when I started a little bit, right?
So I think technically I took over part of, you came and left a few times.
Yeah, I came and left, so I don't count. But I'm just trying to remember, like, if you were already here or
for some of your duties
okay.
after you had left, and then you came back part-time for a little while and then left again while I was here. So
I was real flaky. But anyway, Laura's been here through a lot and so has really inherited a lot of different things, but they've all are well suited to Laura. So okay, well, we are, like I said, we're going to be talking about what our patrons checked out the most this year from the library. And then after that, we're also going to take some time to tell you about our favorite things of the year. So let's jump right in. Laura, why don't you start by telling us about the 10 most popular items overall? And I think right away people will notice something interesting about this list.
So these are all physical items that you can check out in the library. We did not get any of the stats from Libby or Hoopla. But the number one thing checked out this year were Wi-Fi hotspots, and they were checked out 110 times. Ukuleles were checked out 56 times. Fernwood passes were checked out 52 times. Chromebooks were checked out 29 times. The electric lawnmower was checked out 24 times. Five Nights at Freddy's for Nintendo Switch was checked out 24 times. The cordless weed whacker was checked out 22 times. The cordless string trimmer and edger was checked out 22 times. Mario Party Superstars for Nintendo Switch was checked out 21 times. And number 10 was the electric tiller, and it was checked out 19 times.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the first thing I notice is that there's not a single book on the list of top 10 things at a library. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but
and everything but one or everything but two were Library of Things items.
Yeah, that's true. So the Library of Things definitely is our most popular collection, and we hear from people all the time, like, it's so cool you have a Library of Things. But what do you guys think about that? No books on the library top 10 list.
I just think it shows how much of a modern library we are becoming, where it's not just about books that the public can access. It's way more than that. You can get Wi-Fi, you can get instruments or technology in your hands, and I love that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, while it's still at the core of who we are, we love books, we love reading. Yes. But yeah, I think libraries are huge in the just community center aspect, or just providing, services to people that they need, or things that they might not be able to get anywhere else. So I love that about us, honestly. But you said you were going to tell us a little bit kind of context for some of these numbers compared to books especially.
So an average book in a year, if it's not a New York Times bestseller, if it's not really popular, if it's not brand new, 4 or 5 checkouts is good for a year for a standard book. If it's on the New York Times list, or it's a bestseller by like James Patterson or something, or it's brand new, then you're up in the teens. Some of the high ones were like 18, 19. Mm-hmm. So given that context, the Wi-Fi hotspot 110 times, that's like 10 times the number of a standard book checkout.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, we have about 3,000 active patrons. So, if that helps bring any more context to these numbers. But yeah, it's interesting for us to look at this and see that. So we do also have multiple, like the Wi-Fi hotspots, there's actually 5 of them. So that does kind of contribute to that. But they're very popular. People like to check those out. So. I was glad to see ukuleles on the list.
Yes.
I don't know how much of that is when we, check them out for the classes that I do. Obviously, then there's a big number of them that go out. But I don't know. You, like Karen at the desk, do you notice how many people are just coming in and checking out just a random ukulele?
Yeah, usually some people do just because they're either interested in the instrument, because even I checked it out, and I learned how to play one song, probably forgot.
Really? You didn't tell me this.
But,
we should jam.
Yeah, well, like I said, I probably forgot. But yeah, like there are some people that like check them out just for fun. Like for me, obviously I don't have the money just to go out and buy a ukulele, so of course I rented one, and it was pretty fun. My kids were interested in it too, so that was pretty fun. But sometimes I see that once the ukulele classes are done, that people tend to check them out because they want to keep it going, So that's also an awesome thing that we can provide. That way you don't have to buy a ukulele.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised to see that they were number 2 on the list. The Fernwood passes are great. People really do appreciate being able to check out a pass and go out there for free, especially because we do have like a 6-person. We have 2,
4 and 6.
We have 2, 4, and 6. Yeah, it should be easier to remember now. But yeah, like even people who have a membership at Fernwood sometimes will check that out because their family's in town,
they want to bring
and
somebody extra with.
Yeah, take a big group out there. So I know that people really appreciate that. What's the next one? The Chromebooks did surprise me because I feel like those things sit in the cupboard and
might be a little inflated because we probably check them out to ourselves for programming, but still,
yeah, everybody listening, just know we have Chromebooks that you can check out and take home
and combine it with a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Take a Wi-Fi hotspot too. Like, yeah, you're good to go. The lawnmower doesn't necessarily surprise me. In the green season, we do see that one go in and out. Karen, I'll let you talk about video games. I just checked that in this morning, actually, when I got the box. I just realized that was another one.
I actually do see a little bit kind of out. Right now, it's really in because they just released a movie, too, which I haven't seen it. And then Laura just purchased some of their books. So right now, that's probably, why it's so hot right now. So I don't know. Five Nights at Freddy, it's like, do you guys know what that is?
Kind of. I just know that it's scary and it's for children.
It's kind of like
kind of spoofing Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's animatronics. Yeah. Is that what it's called?
It's like a pizza place.
That's like
but are they murderous?
Haunted and they're murderous
Yeah.
or something.
That's the beginning of it, but there's like a whole lore behind it now.
Yeah, there's like more of it, but it's still kind of creepy. I'm just like, I don't know how kids
Some
like
kids
this.
are really like in my day it was the Goosebumps, which are still kind of popular, but like there's
maybe
always
not quite so creepy.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, I was too much of a wimp to really even read Goosebumps.
I
was
either.
more of an Animorphs girl.
Right. Or Boxcar Children.
Or Boxcar.
Ooh, Boxcar.
Yeah. And then, we got some more people doing yard work with their cordless string trimmer and edger. Those are 2 separate things, actually. So they were both checked out 22 times? Is that what
I think one of them has both of it in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it was a trimmer and edger, and then I think there's another one that's essentially just a weed whacker.
Okay. Learning new things about the library. And then we got another video game, the Mario Party Superstars. So I don't know much about that game. Is that one you play? Or?
Yeah, that one I actually got for us last year. That one I actually checked out too because like you can play. Well, I mean, if you have a Switch and have more remotes, you can play with each other. But like with me and my daughter, we like synced it. So like she can play on her Switch and I can play on my Switch, and kind of like you can't see what I'm doing.
So is it one of those like the battle? What's the
Super Smash Bros.
Is it like Super Smash Brothers?
No. So with this, it's kind of like a game board. Like you have to collect as many stars, and whoever gets the most stars at the end wins. And so like everyone after every turn, so everyone has a turn, and so after everyone has a turn at the end of that round, there's like a little mini game, and then there's chances to win like coins and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's like it's a party game. So it's like like it's pretty awesome. It's really family friendly. We always have a game night out of it. It's really awesome.
Nice, yeah. Classic. Mario's never going out of style, apparently. Right. And then the electric tiller, I was honestly surprised that it was as low down the list as it was, because it feels like during that springtime period where people are getting their gardens ready, it is in and out.
It might just be a seasonal thing. Like the lawnmower and the weed whacker is all spring, summer into the fall, whereas the rototiller is probably really just spring.
Yeah. Well, I did actually see someone just bring the rototiller back recently, and I was like, whoa, getting some...
Right.
Well, I mean, I guess you could do it in the fall, and then you're like ready for the spring. I don't know anything about gardening. Nobody listened to my gardening advice. Never mind.
This is not a gardening podcast.
This is not a gardening podcast. Okay, cool. Well, now we are going to get to talk about books, thankfully. So, Laura, you've got this great list for us. Tell us. Let's start going through some of the top titles in each section and area of the library. Let's talk about those.
So, top kids fiction books. The number one was Magic School Bus on the Ocean Floor, and it was the Wonder Book version. It seems like all of our Wonder and Vox books are the tops in the kids section.
So tell us about those.
Sure.
If somebody's like, oh, what the heck is that?
They're really cool. They are usually kids' picture book. We have a few chapter books, but usually they're kids' picture books with a little player attached to the cover, and so you can hit play and it'll read the book to you. Mm-hmm. And that way kids can sit down, and if they're not ready to read yet, then they can follow along with the pages and the story is read to them. It's like the old, CDs or tapes where you used to pop it in. Well, now you don't even need that. It's contained in the book itself.
Yeah, they're really nice. They're definitely popular. I can hear them sometimes from the kids area. People are over there enjoying the Wonder Books.
And they were checked out a good 3 or 4 times more than any regular picture book. So they're a hot item. Yeah, for sure. Because I think you've got some other ones on here, but let's see, what else do we have that are some top kids fiction books? A Bluey storybook was number 2. That one went out a ton. I guess Bluey is really popular right now.
I don't know anything about Bluey yet either, because now my kid's older. I don't know any of the...
I don't know a ton, but from what I've gathered, it's like it's a family of like Australian cattle dogs, and supposedly it's really accurate for like parenting. Like making, I think I read somewhere that the goal was for them to make a show that was about parenting, but the kids liked it too. Like modeling how to be good parents. So it's like real life. Like mom and dad sometimes make mistakes, but it's all good. Like, so there's a lot of fans of that one.
That is kind of nice.
I really like it too. It's like I was actually singing like the theme song like 2 weeks ago.
I could have had the Bluey theme song as one of our sound bites.
But like like she said, it really like it teaches kids like parents can have mistakes too, and it's okay, but it shows them in such a way that it's just like it's like educational for them, but like in a good way. So like mom forgot to make dinner, she's making pizza or something like that, like we have our days, it
happens. It definitely does.
So I really do like that. I really love them, the series. It's really cute.
Find a reason to watch that. I don't know. Can I borrow anyone's young children?
You would not be the only person. Apparently, the's a whole Facebook group dedicated to adult fans.
Oh, really? Is that like when there was like adult dudes that were really into My Little Pony, or is that a totally different thing?
I don't know.
You guys must have heard about it.
I heard about it. Oh my goodness.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about it because I don't really know anything about it except I was like, oh, okay.
Interesting.
Chapter books, Dogman was the top. It dominated, I think the top 4 chapter books were all Dogman. Also, Diary of Wimpy Kids, and then Raina Telgemeier. I don't know how to say.
Nope, that's right.
Okay. Yeah. Her graphic novels were really popular. Yeah. Other picture book series that were popular where there was a bunch of Halloween-themed ones that were checked out. But then Pig the Pug and Mo Willems. He's the one that writes the Pigeon and the Elephant and Piggy.
Mo Willems. I really do. Ever since the Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, which was one of my favorite books to read aloud to kids when I used to work in an elementary school. I actually dressed up as the pigeon one year for Halloween, and then I ran out to the buses at the end of the day and like begged them to let me on to drive the bus. And all the kids are like, "No, you can't drive the bus." So,
well done.
Yes, I'm a big fan of Mo Willems. They're just very funny, and I don't know, just like those a lot.
That's so cute.
All right, so, and then we've got some teen titles, the first one of which scares me just a little bit.
It's Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And I think that there's a series of them.
I've not read it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about
No,
those.
but I remember, like, checking that in, like, just recently.
Didn't remember to read about about it. I'm not even sure what that one is about, but that one is a popular one. I think it's also been on the New York Times bestsellers for teens for a while. And then Go the Distance was a Disney Twisted Tale. That's another series. I don't remember which one Go the Distance was, but it's a series of like, okay, what if this thing happened in Disney instead? Like, okay, well, what if Ursula won instead of The Little Mermaid?
This one sounds like it must be about Hercules. Wasn't that the one with the song about?
It might be that one.
No.
Nobody's seen this. It was one of those Disney movies that was a little weird. I feel like it was around the same time as Emperor's New Groove, where they were kind of trying to be more edgy, and it wasn't as traditionally Disney, but that's what I'm guessing that is. Then we've got the Divergent series I see after that, which I will say, we've got Divergent and then Hunger Games, which I know are kind of similar, but I will say I was not a fan of the Divergent books.
I liked them till the very last bit
really?
of the end one.
Yeah.
I liked it better than Hunger Games.
Oh, really?
At least
See,
the
I'm the
premise
opposite.
wasn't like kids killing each other.
I love Hunger Games.
Yeah, I just thought Hunger Games I thought it was better written, like it really. And I recently read the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is the prequel to all the Hunger Games one. And then we went and watched the movie, which basically my daughter and her friend just like got excited about the male lead like the whole time. So it was very uncomfortable to sit next to them, and especially because he's like a villain. Like he's not a good guy. I'm like,
President
guys.
Snow.
Yeah. But no, interesting. So we have opposite feelings about Divergent and Hunger Games. That's fine. We can still be friends. And then I think I read one of these Lunar Chronicles
They're
ones
super fun.
too.
Those are by Stephanie Meyer, and they're a sci-fi fantasy twist on fairy tales. So like Cinderella goes by Cinder, and
that's the
she's
one I read.
actually like a cyborg.
Oh.
And
Whoa.
it's super fun. They're a good time. I recommend them.
Yeah. I don't think I read Beyond Cinder, but there's a bunch of them. I know my
4 or
daughter
5
read
or
all
6 of them.
Yeah.
They're good. I really enjoyed those.
Cool. Well, what about some nonfiction in the kids area?
Minecraft apparently is the top titles. Most of them, there was Minecraft and Lego. Minecraft Combat Handbook, How to Build Lego Cars, Minecraft Guide to Nether and the End, Minecraft Essential Handbook, Lego Awesome Ideas, How to Build Lego Houses.
Wow.
So lots of
Yeah, you weren't kidding.
Minecraft and Lego,
Park.
which Minecraft is sort of digital Lego.
Yeah.
And it looks like we got a couple dinosaur, or no, just one dinosaur book?
Looks like a dinosaur book, a book about shapes and colors, and then Shark Lady, which was a biography of Eugenie Clark, which was a scientist that worked with sharks.
Oh, cool. That one actually looks neat. Shark Lady, that's a great title for a book.
Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of rounds out the kids area. So what about some adult fiction?
So a lot of the standard authors that you see, there was Identity by Nora Roberts, and Simply Lies by David Baldacci, Stormwatch by C.J. Box, All the Days of Summer by Nancy Thayer, The Boys from Biloxi by John Grisham, 5-Star Weekend by Ellen Hildebrand, Verity by Colleen Hoover. Pretty much anything by Colleen Hoover has been really popular. And then The Sister Effect by Susan Mallory, Must Love Flowers by Debbie McComber, and Out of Nowhere by Sandra Brown.
I admit I have read none of these. Anybody else?
I have not either. I've checked out a few for my mother.
Are a lot of these in more the mystery section? Or not necessarily?
Mystery and romance is
Yeah.
pretty
Romance,
much.
okay.
If it's got a female name, it's probably a romance or a romance thriller. I know Colleen Hoover and Nora Roberts are like right in between. Is it a thriller or is it a romance? Yes. Yes. And then the other ones, I think David Baldacci is technically in the
Mystery.
fiction
He's
section,
in both.
but he's another. It's like it's a thriller. Is it actually yeah. Sometimes those ones are hard to.
Yeah, sidebar. This
figure
is Laura's nightmare every day is where does this
Right?
book go in the library? Is it a sci-fi? Is it mystery? Is it a romance?
historical zombies, romance. Where does that one go?
Yeah, you just never know sometimes. But okay, interesting. And then we've got you did throw a couple of the sci-fi ones in here, which I do read sci-fi, but I guess these are both more fantasy. So you've got The Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, which I know my daughter's reading, and
She's really popular.
yeah,
right
those
now.
are very popular. And then Fourth Wing, which I've heard of, but by Rebecca Yaros, but I don't know anything about that one either.
I don't remember anything about it either, other than it's been on the New York Times bestsellers list for a while. And last week, I think the second book in the series just debuted #1 on the New
okay.
York Times. So it's
check
a
that
hot
out.
one right now.
Yeah.
I think Iron Flame, is the next one.
Okay.
I don't remember if it had something to do with dragons.
Okay.
It might have.
Sure. Dragons are cool. What about nonfiction and adults?
So Spare by Prince Harry was hands down number one, enough that when somebody donated another copy, we went ahead and added it.
That's
So
right,
we have
yeah.
2 copies of that one in circulation.
Yeah, we don't usually do that, but we were trying to help people out who were waiting for a very long time to read that one.
And then the next one has an interesting title. It's I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. She was a Disney Channel star. She was on iCarly.
Yeah.
Nickelodeon.
It was Nickelodeon.
Oh, it's
Yes.
Nickelodeon?
Nickelodeon?
Oh.
Yes, Nickelodeon. Because I watched
them
the
mixed
show
up.
and I read the book.
Oh, you
You
did?
read the book?
My daughter asked for this book for Christmas, and I was like, what are you trying to say?
So, no, like, my daughter judged me because she's seen me reading it. She's like, Mom, what are you trying
quite
to
a
say?
title.
Yes, but once you actually read the book, you so understand the title and you feel bad for her because
She had a
she
bad
was,
relationship
yeah,
with her
basically
mother.
she was like forced to be an actor and she didn't want to. And of course, it was her mom being her manager. And that's why she was like, I'm glad she died. Like,
Yeah.
because she put her through so much. And I was like, oh, okay, I did not know that because once when you see the show, she's like so happy and like goofy and stuff. And then when you read the book, you're like, oh my goodness, I did not know you were suffering all of this.
Yeah.
So after I seen that, and then because my daughter was into iCarly at the time, I was like, I can't look at her the same. Like,
Yeah.
it's sad. But yeah, it was actually a really good book. I
Okay.
did like it. So
Yeah. I just
recommend it.
the cover of it is quite striking because I think she's holding like an urn on the cover of it,
I'm
isn't
not
she?
sure, but she's
Laura
like,
knows what I'm talking about.
I
You
think
don't?
she is.
Okay,
I know
yeah.
it's yellow.
Yeah, I know, and
Yeah.
she's like dressed like a '60s mom, like so
Yeah.
that kind of like threw me off. I was like, okay.
And I don't know. I missed that era, I guess, of Nickelodeon. Like I was probably I was definitely too old for it. But then my daughter wasn't into it either. So yeah, I had no idea who this person is. I just thought it was a random person who was really happy that their mom died. The next one's almost related. Adult children of emotionally immature parents.
Yeah, that one surprised me. Like, kind of, The Spare and I'm Glad My Mom Died were on the New York Times bestsellers. I'm not even sure if that one was new. So that one just kind of came out of left field.
I don't know. Well, I'm glad we got Bluey out there teaching parents how to be parents because apparently we really need it in this society. And then we have a Greetings from Buchanan historic photo book. So that's kind of cool. That's one of our local, that's
picture book. Yeah, right now it's actually being like asked for a lot. Right now I'm actually seeing an increase of like people wanting to read books about Buchanan, and I already know like where it's at. And that's like one of them that I always show them because it has the pictures of Buchanan like way back in the day. Like I'm not from here and I like got to see
There's
it and
a
I
lot
was
of
like,
really cool
it's
pictures
pretty
in there.
cool. Yeah, you're just like, oh, that's pretty neat, you know?
It's a really nice book for such a small town. It's cool to have. After that, we've got a crocheting book, teaching yourself how to crochet. Oh, and then this one, Killers of the Flower Moon, which is now a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. But I will give everyone a little sneak peek. This is the front runner for our One Book, One Buchanan next summer. We've actually been talking about it for a couple of years, but now with the movie out and everything, we
Good
think,
timing.
Yeah, we think that it might be a good time for everybody to read that
Cool.
book. I
So you
started
heard it first here.
I started reading it, but I admit that I did not finish it, so I need to go back and do that. Did anybody else read it? Or
I'm not.
No.
I have a hard time with nonfiction. My
I do
focus is just
too.
not.
Yes,
I
I
know
was
some
gonna-
people that's their jam. It's not mine.
I know. I was going to actually talk about this later because I feel a little embarrassed that that's the case. But yeah, I'm usually struggle a little bit with nonfiction. So, okay, what else do we got? We got movies. You got us some top movies?
Yeah, so top movies for adults was Top Gun Maverick, John Wick Chapter 4, and then Countdown to Christmas, which is a collection of 9 Hallmark Christmas movies.
That's-
And remember, this is
Surprised
for the whole year.
Yes.
So some people can't wait for Christmas, like
Right?
Grant.
Yes,
loves Christmas.
I'm not a Hallmark lover, but I can see why they would love it.
And then there's The Old Way. I hadn't heard of that one, so that was a Western with Nicolas Cage.
Interesting.
And then Ticket to Paradise, which had Julia Roberts and George Clooney.
Okay. I haven't seen any of those movies either. Have you guys watched those?
No.
Not.
Wow.
I know a lot of people watched Top Gun Maverick. I feel like everybody
Yes.
talked about it. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
actually-
I've watched that one.
Oh, you did watch that one?
Yeah.
Was it any good? Have you seen the original?
I've not seen the original, but it was like there was emotion and it was fine. I watched it in movies, so like going to the movies and watching something, the environment is way different because it
Yeah.
was like people who saw the original were there.
probably a nostalgia thing. It was probably everybody who was really excited
Yeah, they
about
were
the
like,
original.
woo! And I'm just like, Yay! Planes, guns.
Yeah, I don't really have an attachment to the first movie that much either, but yeah, I kind of am not a Tom Cruise fan. There's
Me
something,
neither.
yeah. Is
He's
there
so
something about
weird.
his face that you just kind of don't really want to look at for a whole movie?
I just remember him jumping on Oprah's couch, and I just can't take him serious anymore. I'm just like, nah, you're good. I'm good.
What about kids' movies?
Magic School Bus, we've got the complete series.
Yay.
And so
Love
that
the
was
Magic
number
School
one.
Bus.
And then the new Super Mario Brothers movie, Paw Patrol Big Truck Pups, Disney's Strange World, and then Song of the Sea, which I hadn't known what that one was either, so I looked it up. It was a cartoon about Selkies of Irish folklore.
Selkies.
Selkies are like seal people. Like I think they can transform into seals, kind of like mermaids, except it's seals.
Oh,
Okay.
But Irish mythology.
That was one of the top kids
Yeah,
movies.
apparently. It must have been a good one because it was up there.
Well, we should also say we didn't research all of these, but sometimes what can happen in a small library is maybe one family
This is
really
true.
loves
really likes
a
it and checks
movie,
it out repeatedly.
and
That is
they just
possible.
check it out again and again and again. So that could have happened with that one, but we don't know. We did not do that much research. So, all right, what about video games?
So definitely Nintendo Switch is the hot system. That was the vast majority of titles. And good news, Karen just bought us a bunch of Switch games that I will hopefully get in collection soon. So if you have a Nintendo Switch, watch for new Switch games coming.
Well, should we also say to the 5 people listening to this that we also have purchased a Nintendo
yes.
Switch?
So
which
watch for that.
It's not been added to the collection just yet, but it is.
I do know Wendy's working on getting it ready.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
we'll be
that
able
one
to
will be
check out
coming
a
too.
Switch.
You can check out your own Switch.
Yay.
So top one related to what we were talking about earlier was Five Nights at Freddy's, Help Wanted for the Nintendo Switch, and then Mario Party Superstars for Switch, Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and then Call of Duty Black Ops 2 for Xbox 360. So that kind of surprised me because
Yeah.
Xbox 360 is an older one, but it seems like Call of Duty is really popular. So it didn't matter what game system that was on; those games were pretty
I'll
popular.
be guilty. I was probably one of those. That one, it's just
That was all Karen.
Yeah, well, no, because to be honest, that Black Ops 2, like it's one of those good ones. Like you can always play it and like just love it. So I actually played in with my stepson, and we were just going at it for hours. And then I was like, "Whoa, it's 5 a.m. Like what's going on?" So pretty cool.
And then we had Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville for Switch, and then Assassin's Creed The Rebel Collection for Switch, Animal Crossing New Horizons for
We
Switch.
talked about that one. I know about Animal Crossing.
And then Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare for Xbox 360 again. And then Lego Worlds for Switch and MX versus ATV for Switch.
Okay, cool. Have you played a lot of those, Karen, or is it pretty much just the Black Ops
I
one? or,
probably played like
all of those?
4 or 5 of those.
I don't know anything.
But I will say that I got us the new Mario Rabbids. I think it's like Spark of Hope, so keep a lookout for that one. And then I did get us more Lego games, so that's pretty cool. And then since Five Nights at Freddy was the number one, I got us another one, but I was so bummed because there was another one with like the core collection, and I could not find that anywhere, so that's a bummer.
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
We'll keep looking. So. All right. Well, that takes us through this list. That was a good list. I think I know we kind of talk about this at the end of every year, but this is the deepest dive I've taken into it for a while. So it's a good thing for us to look at. We want to make sure that we're giving people what they want.
Yeah.
I hope. And it's a good time to say too, like if we ever don't have a book that you're looking for, like we will buy it.
I love book suggestions.
Yeah.
I'm only one person, and I know about the things that I like to read, but I might not know what the best sci-fi title or the best romance title. So absolutely, if there's something that you think, hey, we should get, or hey, we're lacking on this collection, let us know. I try to do my best, but I'm just one person.
Well, and there's just so much
Yes.
out there now.
So many books.
Yeah, and so many different genres, and it can be hard for one person to keep up, but we are very happy to make you happy. So if you know of a great book, just let us know and we will get it. All right, so that kind of wraps up our discussion about the top books of the year for all of you, but now we're going to get to talk about our favorite books. So we're going to take a really quick break, and then we're going to come back to do that, so stick with us. Okay, we're back. We're going to talk about some of our favorite things that we checked out this year. And this time, we're going to start with Mr. Grant over there. So, Grant, tell us your number one favorite checkout of the year.
So my favorite checkout was a book called Scythe. I don't remember who it was by.
I think it's Neil Shusterman.
Yeah,
Yes,
Neil
I just
looked
Shusterman.
it up.
And this book is about two teens that must learn the art of killing. And it's a Pritzker Honor-winning book. And then it also turned into a series. So this is a world with no hunger, no disease, no war, no misery. And humanity has conquered all of those things and has even conquered death. Now scythes are the only ones who can end life, and they are commanded to do so in order to keep the size of population under control. So it's kind of like a dystopian novel, but it's like the first book I've really been able to like picture in my head.
Okay.
So like I really love this book.
Yeah, I read this one too, and I did think it was kind of a wild concept. It was a kind of a strange way for society to decide to deal with population control. But yeah, so scythes, they can decide how they want to do it, but basically they can kind of sneak up on you and kill you one day. They could be like, okay, I'm going to kill you, but it's going to be later, so go say goodbye to your family. And people live for like hundreds of years. In this,
You can live for.
You could live like almost indefinitely, basically, but eventually one of these guys is going to get you. So the main character, right, is training to become.
Yeah, so Citra Terranova and then Rowan, I don't even know his last name. They're both apprentices, and so obviously they'll take over and they'll become scythes soon. And this book is about them going through training, and they must make a choice. Who's going to get the ring, the scythe ring, which is how you become one.
Oh, so not both. I can't remember now. It's been a few years since I read it. So they're competing
Yeah,
for it?
they both compete, and then, like, the loser has to die.
Oh, yikes. I forgot that part.
So it's a very high stakes. Like, at the end, you're like, what's going to happen?
Yeah. Well, don't tell us what happens. I guess I can't even remember. I know I read this book, but
it's such a good book, so you all have to read it. You have to. And then next is The New Yorker, which I love this magazine only because I love the cover art. I was telling Karen about that on Saturday. Like, the cover art is so cool. It's like all artists, and I think you can submit it. Like, just anyone can submit the cover art.
That's really neat.
And it was founded in 1925. It evolved from a 15-cent comic paper into, I think it's now like $9 a month.
Oh, is it?
I'm not
Do you guys read The New Yorker?
Nope.
So weirdly, right now for Christmas, my husband and I are like making collages. Like, he's painting things, and then I'm cutting out magazines and gluing them on. I know it sounds really lame, but we're trying to be a little DIY and give people some art. But anyway, The New Yorker has been one of the ones I've been cutting up the most because a lot of the artwork is really cool in it. And then I find myself sitting there reading it while I'm supposed to be cutting out pictures to make a collage. So it is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good one. And then next is Where the Crawdads Sing. So I feel like that was 2022, 2023, a very popular one with the movie coming out.
Do you remember, Laura? Was
that one lived on the New York Times bestsellers for like a year or longer. Yeah. That one was, I think we might have had 2 copies of that one for a while too because it was so popular.
Yeah.
We also have it in, I think we have 2 audiobooks of it. We have a large print of it. And then
it was
we
a popular one. Everybody was coming in and asking for that book when it was hot.
So, and that one is just a quick summary. For years, rumors of the quote-unquote marsh girl haunted Barclay Cove, a quiet fishing village. And then Kaya Clark is barefoot and wild, unfit for polite society. So in late 1969, when the popular Chase Andrews is found dead, locals immediately suspect her. So it's like kind of a murder mystery. And it's just a really good book.
Okay. Yeah, I have not read that one, but
haven't
maybe
either, but I know
it's
it was
one
a
of the
popular
ones I meant to pick up because when you work in a library, there's a lot of books like that, so you really can't.
Especially
get to them
when
all.
you do the ordering and cataloging.
Yeah.
I've got like 100 books on my, like, you can
She
put
showed
notes on
me.
our library account, and it's, I just keep adding more and more things. I'll never get to them.
Yep. That pile just gets higher
That
and
to be
higher.
read pile, man.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Grant, for sharing with us your favorites. Those were some good ones. All right, Karen, you're up. Tell us about some of your favorite things of the year.
All right, so my number one is a manga called Death Note. So when I see, because there's merch on it, I always thought it was like weird and creepy.
Why? What was creepy about it?
Because it's called a Shinigami, and it's basically like a god of death. And so he looks very crazy and weird. And so when I seen people like wearing that, I was like, oh, that's not my style kind of thing, And then someone recommended it to me, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a chance. And then so I read it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't put this down. Like, I was like so into it. Now I'm like reading all the time. My daughter's yelling at me, Mom, stop reading all the time. And I'm just like, shh, no, let me read this. But basically it's about, there's this guy named Light. He's like an A student. He's like the top in his class, and he one day just finds this notebook, and there's like instructions in the notebook, and it basically you can write anybody's name on there and they die. And that's why it's called Death Note. So, but if you write the cause of death, then if it's like realistically, then they can die that way. But if you don't write a cause of death, they just die from a heart attack.
Oh my goodness.
So it's crazy. So he was just like, how do I test this? Because he was like, he was like, is this real, or is this just kind of like someone pulling a prank? And so he actually watches the news, and he sees a criminal, and he's just like, well, you don't deserve to be on this earth. Writes
my
that guy's name,
goodness.
and he just dies of a heart attack. And so he just now he like what I personally feel is like now he feels like, oh, like he's like a god in his head. And so now he tries to rid the world of evil. So what he does is he just likes to watch the news and write their name down. But then like the cops start to get, like, hey, how is
this happening?
Yeah. Which is really crazy is his dad is the chief of the police.
Oh.
So that's
Always like this in these movies.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know. And then, like, it's weird because he like I said, he's like a smart student. So his dad has like obviously the database. And so he like hacked his dad's computer and is able to get even more criminals' names and stuff. So then he
goodness.
started getting more creative with their deaths. Like, one will get hit by a bus and boom. And
Regina George?
Right. Yeah, right. So like it just got a little like it's so crazy.
Yeah, kind of a dark hero.
Yeah,
like he's not really.
like-
He's a good guy, but is he really a good guy?
Exactly. Like, so that's where you're kind of conflicted while reading this. You're just like, wait, do I like you? Do I not?
Yeah.
And then there's like this guy that ends up like, I guess he's like a good detective, but he's not a detective. And he tries to grab him, like try to get him. And somehow they work together because Light is the name of the main character. He's trying not to get caught. So he plays everybody in this, even his father. And I'm just like, dang, like, how can you live with this too? Because, and another thing is a Shinigami, which in Japan is like the death god. They stay around him. So, like, it's only one, but one stays around him. So it's just this big, old, weird, creepy guy that just, stays with them. And the thing that I found so funny is that they love apples. The dead of God, the god of death loves apples. So, like, anytime he tries to reward him, he's like, I'll give you an apple. He's like, wait, what? And just like, but because
Is that really part of the folklore, or was that made up for this? Or
no,
maybe you don't
I'm
know?
not sure
Yeah.
about that part.
Interesting.
But like that part, I just like cracked up, and I'm just like, what in the world? And then like at the end, they have like this little comic, and like he gave him like a Game Boy SP, and it was just like the little funniest interesting. Like, I know that didn't have to do with the story, but it was just like cool and funny. So I was like, all right. So yeah, so we have one of that, but I asked Laura.
And on Karen's suggestion, I just ordered the rest of the series, so they will be coming soon.
Yes, because I've seen other people, like I put it on, right now we have a display of like things that staff recommend. And so I actually put it there and someone just grabbed it. And I was like, hey, Laura, like, can we get the rest of the series?
We definitely need the rest of the series.
So, so she's doing that for me. So I'm like, yay. So hopefully other people can enjoy the book, the rest of the series.
I might have to check that out now that I know that I like manga.
Yeah.
Thanks to Spy Family.
Oh, my goodness.
I'll have to give it a try.
Yeah.
Cool. What else is on your list?
So my number 2 is actually the LOT projector. So we have a projector here that you can rent out. And for me, it was amazing because I actually was going through a hard time and didn't have my stuff. So I didn't have my TVs. And of course I have kids and they want to watch TV and all that stuff. So I was able to have, rent the projector, and I was able to hook up my Switch to it. So FYI, you can do that. Cool. And you can what's it called? So we watched movies from my Switch. We played games on the Switch. Yeah, it was really fun for like a game and movie night because it's huge, a big old screen. Yeah. And I also rented it in the summer so my family's like really into like the boxing matches and stuff. So they had a whole party and they're like, Karen, can you rent this from your job? I'm like, all right. And so I rented it and we were just all outside watching the pay-per-view boxing fight.
Life size.
Yeah, big size. Yeah. And then, because I have a very big family, so they were able to all watch that, and it was a fun, night. So, that's something you can check out if, you didn't know we had.
Yeah,
so.
That's a cool idea. I never thought of it for like a sporting event. I don't watch much sports, but that would make it kind of more just big and cool.
Yeah, and I even used it too for like hanging out with my friends. Like we had like a movie night because we all have kids, and boom, big right there. And so the only thing tricky was like I had to kind of like make it elevated, that way if kids walk through you don't see their shadow, because I'm like, oh darn it, I forgot about that aspect, but
you could just do it on the ceiling and then just lie on the floor,
right? You're just like, hey. But for the most part it's pretty awesome because it does have built-in speakers in it too, so you don't have to worry about that. But with me, like when I had the boxing thing, I had hooked up speakers and it was it was awesome though.
Cool.
But and then my third item I actually chose was the LOT hotspot. So for me, I actually went to vacation in Texas, and I took that because my kids were like bored out of their mind, and so I was like, okay, let me use this. So they had Wi-Fi everywhere they went. I even like my phone service even went out sometimes because we're driving, and that gave me internet. I'm like, okay, because I'm not going to be bored either. They're like, no. It was so awesome for that, and it's just awesome just to check out too, like for long road trips, and you don't want your kiddos or you to be bored. You can rent that, and you have Wi-Fi. But honestly, I was surprised on how many like devices can be connected and like it not slow down.
Okay.
So like I probably had like 6-7 devices connected to it, and it did not slow down whatsoever. Wow. And so I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Oh, that's good to hear because I've never really used it before. I know some people check them out for camping, but I'm kind of old school about that's not the point of camping. So that'd be the only time I think I would have had an opportunity.
And the library building seems to be a dead zone, so whenever I go to like test it, I don't get anything.
That's the weirdest thing. But I swear when they showed us like the maps of coverage and stuff, and we were picking which hotspots to go with, like it looked really good. But right here in the library,
because we're at the bottom of some hills and then a big cement building. I don't know.
Yeah, but you go out in the parking lot and it works great. So.
I don't know, but
that's awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah, the awesomest thing was like my internet was like down for like a week because they had to fix like a pole fell or something, and ironically my daughter had e-learning that week, and I'm like, great. And so I rented the hotspot, boom, we had internet. And I lived in an area where like my cell phone service is not good if I was not on Wi-Fi, and it worked perfectly.
That's awesome.
So I was like, yay.
Good to know.
So go yay for the hotspots. Now I know why they're number one.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Karen, for sharing your favorites. I'm up next because we have to save the guest for last. So my favorite, which we were talking about having struggles with nonfiction earlier, Laura and I were, and I always feel that way. I don't read a lot of nonfiction, but this book maybe kind of got me back into the swing of it. So my favorite book of the year was Deep, Freediving, Renegade Science, and What the Ocean Tells Us About Ourselves by James Nestor. So this is a book all about the sport of freediving and also people who do it for like scientific research. So if you don't know, freediving is people who dive without any equipment or any like breathing equipment, and they can go down hundreds and hundreds of feet and be down there for like 15 minutes. Like it's wild. So that's kind of why when I first started reading it, I was like, wait, what? This can't be right. So let's see. One of the things that right away on page 5 I got fascinated because it says, I began to research freediving and claims made by competitors about the human body's amphibious reflexes. What I find is that this phenomenon is real and has a name. Scientists call it the mammalian dive reflex, or more lyrically, the master switch of life, and they've been researching it for the past 50 years. It refers to a variety of physiological reflexes in the brain, lungs, and heart, among other organs, that are triggered the second we put our faces in water. The deeper we dive, the more pronounced the reflexes become, eventually spurring a physical transformation that protects our organs from imploding under the immense underwater pressure and turns us into efficient deep-sea diving animals. So right away I'm hooked, and it talks about how your heartbeat slows down to a quarter of its normal rate, like slower than if you're in a coma. Your lungs shrink to like a third of their normal size. Your brain synapses fire more slowly, and you're in kind of this meditative state. Your organs collapse basically under the pressure. So this only happens like the deeper you go down and the more pressure your body experiences. So it's like people can stay underwater longer in deeper depths than they can at the surface, and can actually dive really deeply and surface quickly, where you can't do that with like a in scuba gear. Like you will get the bends and you will die. So it's really, really, I just was fascinated, and then there's pictures in the middle of this book that are so crazy too. Like I guess once you go below 40 feet, gravity kind of reverses in the water. So like, that how you feel like you're going to surface, like you're just going to come back up to the top. At 40 feet, you will just sink. And it's almost like being in just low gravity. Like they have pictures of this woman on like a tightrope, like she's doing like a tightrope routine. Oh my goodness. Or like underwater hiking, and you're just like walking along. Wow. Yeah, I was just completely fascinated by this book the whole way through. So the sport is incredibly dangerous. Like I think it's only second to base jumping is the only thing that's more dangerous in the sport. People die doing this like all the time, he kind of, I think the author sort of feels like at the end of it that he learns how to free dive in order for this book. But he kind of feels like the sport is just so dangerous that maybe it's kind of a terrible idea. But a lot of people do it for research. So one person's quoted as saying Jane Goodall didn't study apes from a plane. So they're talking about like diving with dolphins and sharks and whales, and being able to study these animals without scaring them off with the equipment that's usually. So anyway, I was just completely engrossed by this book the whole time. I would highly recommend it to anybody, especially if you're not a person who likes nonfiction usually, because I often feel like reading nonfiction that I'm just in school and I'm just having to like, I don't know if anybody else feels that way, if that's your problem with it too, but I didn't feel that way with this book at all. I was just riveted the whole time.
I know I think I ordered that one last year because summer reading theme was Oceans of Possibility.
Oh, cool.
And so I researched some, like, what are some good ocean theme books? I think that was one of them, so I'm glad it was so good.
Yeah, it was really, and because I did notice that, because it was on our new shelf, which I think is why I grabbed it, but I think it was from 2013-ish or something like that, so it's not a brand.
Recent library acquisition,
right?
Since it matched last year's theme, or the ocean
if
theme.
it's new to us, it's on the new shelf.
Yes.
It doesn't always mean it's a brand new book, but yeah, it was a great pick, so I'm glad.
Okay.
The second one I picked, I won't talk about as much, but it's called Lilith's Brood by Octavia E. Butler. This is the same author who wrote Kindred, which is a little bit more of a popular book you guys might have heard of. I think they just made Kindred into a TV series. Maybe other people will know what I'm talking about. But anyway, this is, it's actually 3 books that were put into one collection. I can't remember what the name of each book, because I only read it as this collection. But it's a sci-fi where this woman, she's been dead for hundreds of years or something like that. But anyway, she's resurrected later by this group of aliens who are going to save the Earth and humanity. But the way they do that is by like merging genetically with humans. So humans won't really exist anymore. It'll be this blend between the aliens and the humans. And so it's, it's very interesting. I won't go into it too much because it gets very complicated. It's a very thick, like I said, it's actually 3 books. But, how they feel about, is this really saving humanity or is this destroying humanity? And, it gets pretty wild. But it's a great book. And then the third thing I picked was the Coleman 4-person cabin tent. So I went camping in Tequamanon Falls over the summer, and my husband and I took this tent, even though we own a tent, but it's not a great tent. So we took a better tent. And literally we were like, oh, it's up? Like, it's done? That's it? Like, it took seconds to put this tent up. I didn't really believe the hype, but it's true. And it was pretty easy to put down, too. So I would highly recommend the 4-person tent. So
nice.
Even though it was just a 2-person and a dog tent for us. But
I think
probably
that
fit 4
usually
people.
when they say 4 people,
I
think
know.
that's kind of like, you got to be very friendly.
Yeah, you'd have to really
Usually
like
exaggerate those a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, Laura, will you tell us about your favorite thing?
Sure. So my absolutely favorite thing that I got super excited about was we just added Hoopla this year. And they had season 14 and 15 of Murdoch Mysteries.
So would you like to hear a little bit of the theme song to get us hyped for these murder mysteries?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So that's a little bit of the theme music just to get you in the mood to listen to some murder mysteries.
I originally got hooked on that one watching it on Hulu, but Hulu only had through season 13. So when I discovered that Hoopla had it and I didn't have to pay to rent it or buy it, I was really excited about that.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about it. I want to hear.
So it's a kind of murder mystery detective show. It's based on a book series by Maureen Jennings. It's set in the late 1800s, early 1900s in Toronto.
Oh, okay. So is it a British thing or no?
It's Canadian.
Canadian. Oh,
Yeah.
CBC. That's what I saw. So that's
CBC,
Canadian
yeah, that's
broadcasting?
Canadian broadcasting.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's set in Toronto, put together by Canada. So there's a little bit of that, like, Canada versus America in there, which is kind of an interesting thing because we don't see that from that perspective.
Yeah.
But it's, so it's set right there on the Great Lakes. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. It is about a detective who works for the constabulary, however you say that. It's not the police.
That's a tough word, yeah.
Constabulary. And he's a little bit of an inventor. Mm-hmm. So you get to see some of his crazy inventions, and pretty much anybody, they like putting random historical characters on there too. So like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle has showed up. Tesla and Edison have showed up. President Roosevelt showed up. But it's kind of like CSI set in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it's really fun.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask if it was like the Canadian Sherlock Holmes, but
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a really good, I really enjoy that one. And they're still making it. I guess so season 14 and 15 are on Hoopla, but apparently there's a season 16 and a 17 coming. So
Okay.
yay, it's not over.
And you said the earlier episodes are on Hulu, or?
I think they're on Hoopla also.
Okay.
But I had gotten originally hooked on Hulu and not all of the
So you
series
can watch
is on
all
Hulu.
of it on
Yes.
Hoopla then. Okay. Nice.
So then my second favorite thing, and it's so hard to pick a favorite book. I was like, how am I supposed to pick just, however many? So one of them was Kiss the Girl by Zoraida Cordova. And the fun part about it was very loosely based on Disney's Little Mermaid. So it's about a rock star runaway and her adventures masquerading as a merch girl for an up-and-coming band. And a lot of the characters' names were from Little Mermaid. Like, the main character's name was Ariel. She falls in love with this guy whose name is Eric. And then, like, people in his band, like, there was a Carla. There was a
Wait, who's Carla in The Little Mermaid?
It's the cook, like the housemaker, like the housekeeper.
Oh, her name was Carla?
Yeah, there was a
Right.
Carla. There was, I don't remember whatever the dog's name was. There was a character with that name. Whoever the butler was, there was a character with that name. So it was really funny to see. And then like her dad owned the Atlantica records.
Oh, okay.
And so and she and her sisters were all singers, and their band was called Siren 7. So it was a whole lot of throwback to Little Mermaid.
Okay.
So you had that nostalgia and then like excitement of like, oh, and that's that character. But it was very much a like rock star, and like how does she, I think it says somewhere in here of like, how does she find her voice? How does she figure out now that this part of her life is over, she wants more? How does she figure out who she is? And it was really good. I'm not usually a romance person. And so this one wasn't like straight up romance because it had the rock star thing going, but it was really fun. I enjoyed that one.
Cool.
And then my third thing was the Red Bud Fitness Pass.
Nice.
Another
I've been meaning to do that,
pass.
actually.
I used to have a membership, and when I got my puppy this spring, it was like, okay, if I'm going to go work out, it needs to be taking my dog somewhere. So I let the pass go, and so it was really exciting to get to check out the pass again and get to go enjoy the pool and the hot tub. Those are my favorites.
Yeah, I was just talking to Molly Thornton about this, who was our first guest, a friend of the library, Molly Thornton. We all know her. She is a regular pool swimmer over there, too.
That's
so-
my favorite.
Yeah, and I think she said she actually does a cold plunge every morning.
There's a lot of people that do that.
And I was like,
not.
Molly,
No, thank you.
I'm so impressed with you right
Right?
now. But yeah, I've been kind of meaning to give that a try too. Have you guys ever gone to Red Bud Fitness?
No.
It's a really cool place. They have a nice indoor track that you can walk or run on. They have a lot of the exercise machines, treadmills, stair climber, bikes. They have a lot of cool classes, yoga and Zumba, and I feel like they had cardio drumming or something like that. A lot of cool classes. And they got a weight room, and then they have a gym that usually there's basketball and pickleball going.
Yeah,
so they got a lot of cool stuff going on there.
My dad visited his sister in Florida, and he got obsessed with pickleball. But we haven't actually gotten a chance to do it around here yet. But I've been meaning to go over there and try. I don't know. Has anyone tried pickleball? What is?
No.
I did it in like my PE class
Did
in
you?
middle school, and it's like I don't see the difference between that and tennis. Besides, like there's a different ball and a different paddle.
Is it a little easier to play than tennis?
Yeah, because it's a different swing. It's like
Okay.
an underhand.
Sure.
It's weird.
It's like ping
It's a smaller
pong,
court too.
but
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
if you could shrink yourself down to where
Yeah,
a
it's
ping pong
ping
ball would
pong.
be. Yeah, then it's ping pong. So, well, cool. Well, that's I guess that's gonna wrap it up for us. That went pretty quickly, actually. I was a little afraid that we could talk for days and days about this stuff, which we probably could. But we hope that everybody out there had a wonderful 2023 and read or watched or listened to or rototilled something and just really enjoyed all the library has to offer. And we know that, there's going to be more to come in 2024. So everybody out there, stick with us. And for our next podcast, we've got a great guest next time. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm just telling you guys this is going to be a lot of fun. So thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good new year.
Thank you for listening to the Dewey Decibel System, the official podcast of the Buchanan District Library. Thanks as well to our special guest, Laura Hauch, for joining us today. Our theme music was written and performed by Miguel Perez, aka Dogzilla, and this episode was recorded at the Buchanan District Library on December 19, 2023. You can learn more about the library by visiting buchananlibrary.org or stopping in to see us in downtown Buchanan, Michigan.